The ship descended through purple clouds and landed on a platform made of white stone. Kang Do-hyun stepped out and looked at the world around him. Everything was beautiful. The buildings touched the sky. The air smelled sweet like flowers. The sun was golden and warm on his skin. He was 34 years old, a soldier for 15 years before they made him a diplomat. He did not look special. Medium height, black hair with some gray, a face that people forgot easily. He wore a simple gray uniform with no medals, no ribbons, nothing to show his years of service. In his hand, he carried a data tablet. Inside the tablet was humanity's future, a proposal for friendship, a treaty that would protect Earth and help the Valari Empire at the same time. Humanity had only discovered faster-than-light travel 12 years ago. In the galaxy, they were babies. Everyone knew it. The Valari had ruled their corner of space for 10,000 years. They had conquered 12 star systems. They had never lost a war. And Do-hyun was here to ask them to be friends. 2 guards came to meet him. They were tall, almost 7 feet, with silver skin that shone like metal. Their eyes were purple and cold. They looked at Do-hyun like he was an insect. "Human," one guard said. "Follow." They did not ask his name. They did not welcome him. Do-hyun said nothing. He simply followed. The palace was bigger than any building on Earth. The halls were wide enough for 100 men to walk side by side. The walls were covered with paintings of Valari victories. In every painting, other species knelt before Valari masters. Some paintings showed executions. Some showed slaves working in mines. The message was clear. Do-hyun kept walking. His face showed nothing. Finally, they reached the throne room. The doors were 50 feet tall and made of solid gold. They opened slowly, and Do-hyun walked inside. The room was full of people. Hundreds of Valari nobles stood on both sides, dressed in silk and jewels. They whispered to each other as Do-hyun walked past. Some laughed quietly. Some looked disgusted. At the end of the room, on a throne made of crystal, sat Princess Yura. She was 19 years old, young by any species standard. Her silver skin was flawless. Her purple eyes were sharp and cruel. Her white hair fell to her waist like a waterfall of snow. She wore a dress that cost more than most Earth cities. She was beautiful. She knew it. Everyone knew it. Behind her stood her advisors, old Valari men and women who had served the Empire for centuries. They watched Do-hyun with careful eyes. Do-hyun stopped at the proper distance from the throne. He bowed once, not too deep, not too shallow. The bow of equals meeting for the first time. The princess did not bow back. "So," she said. Her voice was high and clear. "This is the human." Laughter rippled through the crowd. "Your Highness," Do-hyun said. His voice was calm and steady. "I am Lieutenant Kang Do-hyun of the Earth Defense Force. I come representing all of humanity. We bring an offer of friendship and mutual cooperation." He held up the tablet. "This contains our proposal. A defense treaty. We would help protect your borders. You would help protect ours. Trade agreements that benefit both sides. Scientific exchange programs. Cultural understanding." The princess looked at the tablet like it was garbage. "You?" she said. "You would protect us?" More laughter. Louder this time. Yura stood from her throne and walked down the steps. Her movement was graceful, like a dancer. She stopped in front of Do-hyun. Even though she was young, she was taller than him. She looked down at his face. "Do you know how old our empire is?" she asked. 10,000 years, Do-hyun said. 10,000 years, she repeated. "We were building cities when your ancestors were living in caves. We were conquering worlds when you were still killing each other with sticks and stones." She reached out and took the tablet from his hand. She did not look at it. She did not open it. "And now you come here," she said. You crawl out of your little mudball planet. You discover how to fly through space like children learning to walk. And you think you can stand beside us as equals? Do-hyun said nothing. Your species is an accident, Yura continued. A mistake of evolution. You are small. You are weak. You are ugly. You live short, meaningless lives, and then you die and turn to dust. She dropped the tablet. It fell to the floor with a loud crack. The Valari do not make treaties with insects. The crowd laughed again. This time, the laughter was mean and ugly. Yura stepped on the tablet. The screen shattered under her foot. Here is what will happen, she said. You will kneel. You will beg for the honor of serving the Valari Empire. Your planet will become our property. Your people will work for us. And maybe, if you please us, we will let some of you live. She smiled. It was not a kind smile. Kneel, she said. Kneel and beg, little human. The room went quiet. Everyone watched. They wanted to see the human cry. They wanted to see him break. They wanted to see him crawl on the floor and kiss the princess's feet. Do-hyun looked at the broken tablet on the floor. Months of work. Hundreds of people had helped create that proposal. Scientists, diplomats, writers, translators. They had put their hope into that small device. Now, it was broken under a teenager's foot. He looked up at Yura. Her eyes were shining with pleasure. She was enjoying this. This was fun for her. Do-hyun bent down. The crowd held its breath. Was he going to kneel? No doubt. He picked up the broken tablet. He held it carefully, like it was still valuable. Then he straightened his back and stood tall. He did not speak to the princess. He did not look at her again. Instead, he turned around. He faced the golden doors at the end of the hall, and he started walking. The crowd was confused. What was happening? Why was he not kneeling? Why was he not begging? This was not how it was supposed to go. Stop. Yura shouted. Her voice was angry now. I did not give you permission to leave. Stop right now. Do-hyun kept walking. Guards. Yura screamed. Stop him. Make him kneel. The guards did not move. They looked at each other with uncertainty. This human had diplomatic protection. Touching him could cause problems. Do-hyun reached the doors. He did not look back. He pushed them open and walked through. The doors closed behind him. The throne room was silent. No one knew what to say. Yura stood alone in the middle of the room. Her face was red with anger and something else. Something she had never felt before. Confusion. No one had ever just walked away from her. No one had ever ignored her commands. No one had ever treated her like she was not important. He will regret this, she said. Her voice was shaking. Humanity will regret this. But in her heart, she felt something cold. A small voice that whispered a question she could not answer. What if she had made a mistake? She pushed the thought away. She was a princess of the Valari Empire. She did not make mistakes. But as the days passed, that cold feeling did not go away. It grew, and somewhere in space, flying back toward Earth, Kang Do-hyun sat alone in his cabin. The broken tablet was on the table in front of him. His face was calm. His hands were steady, but in his eyes, there was something new. Not anger. Not sadness. Humans were good at waiting. 3 years passed like water flowing through fingers. On Earth, no one spoke about what happened in the Valari throne room. The government released a simple statement. The diplomatic mission was unsuccessful. Humanity would look for other friends in the galaxy. That was all. No complaints. No anger. No threats of revenge. Just silence. Kang Do-hyun returned to military service. He requested a ship and got one. The HSS Resolve was not big or fancy. It was a medium cruiser with a crew of 200. Do-hyun did not want anything special. He just wanted to work. He never talked about Princess Yura. When people asked about his mission, he changed the subject. Some thought he was ashamed. Some thought he was scared. They were wrong. Do-hyun was thinking, planning, humanity spread across the galaxy like seeds in the wind. Human traders appeared in every space station. Human scientists worked in research centers on a dozen worlds. Human engineers fixed problems that other species had given up on. They were everywhere. Friendly, helpful, humble. Everywhere except Valari space. The Valari noticed. At first, they did not care. Humans were insects, after all. Who needed insects? But then, strange things started happening. The Torani Federation, a small group of 3 planets, signed a defense treaty with Earth. The Torani had been afraid of the Valari for centuries. Now they had human warships protecting their borders. They were not afraid anymore. The Keishi Republic, known for their advanced medical technology, started sharing their secrets with human doctors. In return, humans helped them build better engines for their ships. The Morith Collective, once a Valari slave race, found new friends among humans. Earth welcomed Morith refugees, gave them homes, gave them jobs, treated them like equals. One by one, the species that the Valari had bullied and insulted and conquered found a new friend in humanity. And one by one, they stopped fearing the silver-skinned masters who had ruled them for so long. Because if humans could walk away from the Valari princes, maybe the Valari were not so powerful after all. Princess Yura was now 22 years old. She was preparing to become empress. Her mother was sick, and soon Yura would rule the entire empire. She should have been happy. Instead, she was angry. Why are the humans ignoring us? She demanded. She was sitting in a meeting with her advisors. Star maps covered the table. Most of the galaxy was marked with human activity, but Valari space was empty. They refuse all contact, said Admiral Quan Tayson, the head of the Valari fleet. He was old, over 300 years, and he had fought in many wars. We sent 12 messages. They did not answer. We sent diplomats. They were politely turned away at the border. This is an insult. Yura slammed her hand on the table. They should be begging us for forgiveness. Perhaps, said Lady Myray, the chief advisor. She was calm and careful, as always. But consider this. Every species we have ever conquered or threatened is now friendly with humans. The Torani, the Keishi, the Morith. Even the proud Hanari have signed trade agreements with Earth. So what? Yura said. So we are becoming isolated. Lady Murray's voice was soft but serious. The humans are not attacking us. They are not threatening us. They are simply pretending we do not exist. And by doing so, they are showing the galaxy that we can be ignored. Yura did not understand. How was being ignored a problem? The Valari was still the most powerful empire in the region. They had the biggest fleet, the best weapons. The most planets dot, but Lady Mireille understood. Power was not just about ships and weapons. Power was about fear. And fear only worked if people believed you were dangerous. The humans had walked away, and nothing bad happened to them. That meant others could walk away too far from Valari space. Admiral Baekjisu was having a good day. She was 45 years old. Short black hair, sharp eyes, a scar on her left cheek from a battle long ago. She commanded the 3rd Human Fleet, 12 ships that protected human interests in the outer regions. Today, those 12 ships had just destroyed a pirate base that had been terrorizing 3-star systems for decades. The pirates were called the Red Hands. They had 500 ships. They kidnapped people and sold them as slaves. They destroyed colonies for fun. Every species in the region had tried to stop them. All had failed. Jisoo stopped them in 6 hours. Her strategy was simple but brilliant. She did not attack the pirate fleet directly. Instead, she found their fuel supply and destroyed it. Then she waited. When the pirate ships ran out of fuel, they could not move. They could not run. They could only surrender. 7,000 pirates captured. 2,000 slaves freed. Not a single human life lost. The rescued slaves came from many species: Tarani, Kushi, Morath, even some Hanari. They looked at the human admiral with wonder in their eyes. "Thank you," said a Morath elder. His scales were dull with age and suffering. "We thought we would die in chains." Jisoo knelt down to meet his eyes. "No one deserves to live in chains," she said. "You are free now. Where do you want to go?" The elder started crying. No one had ever asked him what he wanted before. This story spread across the galaxy. The humans who freed slaves. The humans who asked instead of commanded. The humans who treated everyone with respect. More species signed treaties with Earth. More doors opened. More friendships formed. And the Valari watched in growing frustration. "We should attack them," Yura said one night. "Show them what happens when you ignore the Valari." "Attack who?" Admiral Quan asked. "The humans have done nothing illegal. They have not entered our space. They have not threatened our ships. If we attack first, every other species will unite against us." "Then what do we do?" No one had an answer. The truth was simple but painful. The humans were beating the Valari without firing a single shot. They were winning a war that had no battles. Every day that passed, the Valari grew weaker and more alone. Every day, humanity grew stronger and made more friends. Do-hyun heard about Admiral Jisoo's victory. He sent her a short message of congratulations. She sent back a simple reply. "Still waiting?" "Still waiting," he answered. He did not explain what he was waiting for. He did not need to. Jisoo understood. Humanity had learned a valuable lesson from their time on Earth. Sometimes the best revenge was living well. Sometimes the strongest response to hatred was not hatred in return. It was success. It was happiness. It was showing the universe that you did not need the people who rejected you. The Valari had called humans insects, accidents, mistakes. Now those insects were everywhere. Those accidents were solving problems. Those mistakes were making the galaxy a better place, and the Valari were sitting alone in their beautiful palaces, wondering why no one came to visit anymore. Yura sometimes thought about that day in the throne room. She remembered the human man who picked up his broken tablet and walked away. She remembered his calm face, his steady eyes. She had expected him to cry, to beg, to break. He had done none of those things. Sometimes, late at night, she wondered what would have happened if she had listened to him instead. What if she had read the proposal? What if she had accepted the treaty? But then she pushed those thoughts away. She was Valari. She was royalty. She did not make mistakes. And yet the cold feeling in her heart grew larger every day. Something was coming. She could feel it. She just did not know what. The Keth came without warning. They poured out of the dark spaces between stars like a flood of death. 1,000 warships. 10,000 fighter craft. Soldiers bred for war and nothing else. They had been building their strength for 500 years, hiding in the shadows, waiting for the right moment. The moment was now. The first Valari world to fall was called Silverlight. It was a beautiful planet with crystal mountains and purple seas. 3 billion Valari lived there. They woke up one morning to see the sky filled with enemy ships. The battle lasted 2 days. When it was over, Silverlight was burning. Empress Yura received the news in her throne room. She was 24 now. Her mother had died last year, and the crown sat heavy on her head. "How many dead?" she asked. "We do not know yet," Admiral Kwan said. His face was pale. Millions. Maybe more. Yura closed her eyes. This could not be happening. The Valari had never lost a world before. Not in 10,000 years. Send the fleet, she ordered. All of it. Destroy these Keth insects. The Valari fleet was massive. 800 warships. The pride of the Empire. They gathered at the border and prepared to push back the invaders. They failed. The Keth were not like other enemies. They did not care about dying. They flew their ships into Valari formations and exploded. They fought until the last soldier. They never surrendered. They never retreated. The Valari won some battles. But for every Keth ship they destroyed, they lost 2 of their own. The war was eating them alive. We need allies, Lady Myre said. She was old now. Her silver skin faded to gray. We cannot win this alone. Yura looked at the star map. Most of the galaxy was colored in the shades of human friendship. Torani blue, Kashi green, Morath orange. So many species that had once feared the Valari. Now they looked away when the Valari called for help. Contact them, Yura said. Contact everyone. Offer them whatever they want. The messages went out. Hundreds of them. To every species the Valari had ever dealt with. The answers came back slowly. Some were polite refusals. Some were not so polite. The Morath wrote, We remember the chains. Do you? The Torani wrote, Perhaps you should ask the humans. Oh wait, you insulted them too. The Hanari simply did not answer at all. No one was coming to help. What about Earth? Admiral Kwan asked. The humans have the largest fleet now. If they joined us, we could win this war. Yura felt sick. The thought of asking humans for help made her want to scream. But she had no choice. Send a message, she said, to their leader. Tell them we are willing to discuss the treaty they proposed. The message took 3 days to reach Earth. The answer came. Back in 3 minutes, it was from Admiral Beek Jisu. The United Earth Government has received your request. We regret to inform you that we have no record of any prior diplomatic relationship with the Valari Empire. Perhaps you have confused us with another species. We wish you well in your current difficulties. Yura read the message 7 times. Each time, her hand shook more. They were pretending not to know the Valari. They were treating 10,000 years of empire like it did not exist. They were giving back the exact same insult that Yura had given them. Send another message, Yura ordered. Apologize. Offer them anything. Ships, technology, resources, anything. The second message came back even faster. We appreciate your interest in Earth. Unfortunately, all diplomatic positions are currently filled. We suggest you try again in 10 to 20 years. 10 to 20 years. The Empire would be dust by then. More worlds fell. Darkwater, Golden Plains. The twin moons of Hashar. Each name was a knife in Yura's heart. Each world was millions of her people, dead or enslaved. Refugees began to flee. Ships packed with terrified Valari jumped into neutral space, looking for anywhere safe. Most were turned away. Go back to your empire, border guards told them. This is not your space. But some found shelter in unexpected places. Human stations accepted Valari refugees. Human ships rescued escape pods. Human doctors treated wounded civilians. This confused Yura. The humans were refusing to help the Empire, but saving individual Valari. Why? It made no sense. She asked Lady Myre. They are separating you from your people, the old advisor said. They do not hate Valari citizens. They hate what the Empire represents. Cruelty, pride, the belief that some species are better than others. But I am the Empire, Yura said. Yes, Lady Myre agreed. And that is exactly the problem. The war dragged on for a terrible year. The Keth pushed deeper and deeper into Valari space. The Great Fleet shrank from 800 ships to 400, then 200, then 90. Finally, the Keth reached the homeworld. Yura stood on her balcony and watched the enemy ships fill her sky. The crystal towers of her city reflected the light of distant explosions. The screams of her people filled the air. This was the end. She knew it. Everyone knew it. "We can't evacuate you," Admiral Kwan said. He was wounded now, his left arm missing from a battle last month. A small ship. You could escape. Rebuild somewhere else. Yura looked at the dying world around her. The palaces were burning. The gardens were ash. Everything beautiful was being destroyed, and she realized something terrible. No one would miss it. The galaxy would not cry for the Valari. No one would write songs about their fall. No one would remember their art or their music or their history, because the Valari had never given anyone a reason to care. They had only ever taken, conquered, demanded, insulted. And now they were alone. "Prepare the ship," Yura said quietly. "But not for me. Fill it with children, with families, with anyone who can start again. And you, Empress?" Yura removed her crown. It was heavy with jewels and history. She looked at it for a long moment. "I will go to the humans," she said. "Alone, not as an empress, not as royalty, as a beggar, as someone asking for help, as someone who finally understands what she did wrong." She dropped the crown on the floor. "Maybe they will listen. Maybe they will not. But I have to try." Lady Myre smiled sadly. "Now you are starting to understand, child. I wish I had understood sooner. So do we all." The next morning, Yura boarded a small shuttle with no guards and no servants. She wore simple clothes. She carried nothing valuable. She set her course for human space. Behind her, her world was dying. Ahead of her, there was only uncertainty. But for the first time in her life, she was not thinking about herself. She was thinking about her people, about the refugees who needed shelter, about the children who needed futures. She was thinking about a man who walked away without a word, a man who showed dignity when she showed cruelty. She hoped he would be willing to teach her what dignity meant. Station Hope was the largest refugee center in human space. It floated in the darkness between stars like a city made of light. 50,000 beings lived there at any time. Some stayed for days. Some stayed for months. All were treated the same. Yura's shuttle docked at the public entrance. No special treatment. No royal welcome. She walked through the same doors as everyone else and joined the same line. The line was long. Hundreds of refugees waited to be processed. Torani families with scared children. Morath workers looking for new jobs. Keishi doctors offering to help. And now more and more Valari. Yura had never waited in line before. For anything, it took 4 hours. Her feet hurt. Her back hurt. She was hungry and tired and scared. Around her, other refugees talked in quiet voices about their lost homes and dead friends. She listened. For the first time, she really listened. A Valari mother held her baby and cried. "We had nothing," she whispered. "The soldiers took everything. My husband tried to stop them. They killed him in front of me." The mother was not talking about Keth soldiers. She was talking about Valari soldiers. Her own people had robbed her. Yura felt sick. She had always believed the Empire was good, strong, just. But here, among the broken and the lost, she heard different stories. Stories of Valari cruelty to their own citizens. Stories of nobles taking food while common people starve. Stories of children sold into labor to pay family debts. The empire was not good. It had never been good. She had just been too high up to see the ground. Finally, she reached the front of the line. A young human woman sat behind a desk. She had dark hair and kind eyes and a name tag that said Kim Yoonji. Name? Yoonji asked. Yura hesitated. She could lie. Use a fake name. Pretend to be nobody. But she was tired of pretending. Yura, she said. Former Empress of the Valari. Yoonji looked up. Her eyes widened for just a moment. Then she looked back down at her screen. Skills? She asked, as if Yura had said nothing unusual. What? Skills. What can you do? Can you cook? Clean? Build things? Teach? Yura had never been asked this question. She had never needed skills. She was royalty. I can speak 12 languages, she said slowly. I was trained in diplomacy and protocol. So you could work as a translator, Yoonji said. She typed something. Good. We always need translators. Here is your housing assignment. Building 7, room 412. You will share with 3 other refugees. Food distribution is at 0800 and 1800 in the main hall. Work assignments will come tomorrow. She handed Yura a small card. Welcome to Station Hope, Yoonji said. And she smiled. A real smile. Warm and genuine. Yura took the card with shaking hands. Why are you being kind to me? She asked. I was terrible to your people. I humiliated your diplomat. I tried to enslave your species. Yoonji shrugged. You are not an empire anymore. You are just a person who needs help. That is what we do here. We help people. Yura did not know how to respond. She walked away in silence. Building 7 was plain but clean. Room 412 was small. 4 beds, 1 bathroom. A tiny window that showed the stars. 3 other refugees were already there. 2 Morath women and an old Tirani man. They looked at Yura with fear. Please, one Morath woman said. We will not cause trouble. Please do not hurt us. Yura realized they recognized her. They knew who she was. And they expected her to be cruel. I am not going to hurt anyone, Yura said softly. I am just a refugee. Like you. They did not believe her. She could see it in their eyes. But they said nothing. That night, Yura lay on her thin bed and stared at the ceiling. She could hear the Morath women whispering to each other. They were scared of her. After everything, they were still scared. How many years of cruelty had caused this fear? How many generations of pain? She cried quietly in the darkness. Not for her lost throne. Not for her fallen empire. But for all the suffering her people had caused. Suffering she had never seen. Suffering she had never cared about. The next day, she went to the main hall for food. The hall was huge. Thousands of refugees sat at long tables, eating simple meals. Humans moved among them, serving food, cleaning tables, talking with people. And then she saw him. Kang Do-yun. He was older now. 40 years old. Gray streaked his black hair. Lines marked his face. But his eyes were the same. Calm, patient, steady. He was serving soup to a group of Valari children. He smiled as he filled their bowls. He asked them their names. He told them jokes that made them laugh. Why you are stood frozen. She watched him move through the crowd. He helped an elderly Morath man carry his tray. He fixed a broken chair for a Tirani family. He listened to a crying woman and held her hand while she talked. He was not a commander here. Not a soldier. Not a diplomat. He was just a man helping people who needed help. This was the man she had called an insect. This was the man she had ordered to kneel. This was the man whose work she had shattered under her foot. She wanted to run. To hide. To disappear. But she forced herself to walk forward. Do-hyun saw her coming. Their eyes met. She expected anger, hatred, triumph. She saw none of those things. She saw recognition. And then, almost immediately, indifference. "You need food," he said. It was not a question. Yes, she managed. He filled a bowl with soup and handed it to her. His hands were steady. His face was calm. "I remember you," he said. "The princess. You were young. I was cruel. Yes, young people often are." He shrugged. "But people can change." She wanted to apologize. The words were stuck in her throat. All the things she wanted to say, all the guilt and shame and regret, it all choked her. "I am sorry," she finally whispered. "For what I did. For what I said. For everything." Do-hyun looked at her for a long moment. Then he reached into his pocket and pulled out something. A ration pack. Simple food for refugees. "Eat," he said. "You look hungry." He placed the ration pack in her hands. Then he turned and walked away to help someone else. That was it. No dramatic confrontation. No angry speeches. No revenge. He had simply treated her like any other person who needed help. And somehow, that was worse than hatred. Because it meant she was not special. She was not important. She was not worth being angry at. She was just another broken person in a galaxy full of broken people. Yura found an empty seat and sat down. She looked at the ration pack in her hands. Simple food. Nothing fancy. The kind of food she would have thrown away in her old life. Now it was the most precious thing she had ever received, because it was given with kindness. Simple kindness. The kind she had never shown to anyone. She ate slowly. The food was not good, but she was grateful for every bite. Around her, the hall was full of life. People talking, children playing, families reuniting, strangers becoming friends. This was humanity. Not their ships or their weapons or their technology. This kindness. This stubborn belief that everyone deserved help. Yura had ruled an empire of cruelty, and it had crumbled like dust. Humans had built something else. Something made of compassion. And it was stronger than any throne. She finished her meal and looked around for Do-hyun. She wanted to talk to him more, to understand how he could be kind to someone who had hurt him so badly. But he was gone, lost in the crowd. Just another person doing his work. She would find him again. She would learn from him. But first, she had to prove she deserved the lesson. She stood up and walked to the serving area. "Can I help?" she asked a human worker. The worker looked surprised. Then she smiled. "Sure, grab an apron. We always need more hands." Yura tied the apron around her waist. It was dirty and worn. Nothing like her royal dresses. It was the most beautiful thing she had ever worn. She started serving food to refugees. Her people. Other species. Anyone who was hungry. It was small work. Simple work, but it was a start. 5 years changed everything. The Keth War ended not with a final battle, but with a slow collapse. A coalition of species, led by Admiral Baek Jisoo, pushed back the invaders system by system. It took 3 years. Millions died. Worlds burned. But in the end, the Keth retreated to the shadows they came from. The Valari Empire was gone. Not conquered. Not destroyed. Just dissolved like salt in water. There was no throne to return to. No palace to rebuild. The survivors scattered across the galaxy, welcomed as refugees by the species they had once ruled. Humans insisted on this. When some planets wanted to reject Valari refugees, human diplomats said no. Every person deserves a chance, they argued. Every species can change. It was strange kindness. Some called it foolish. But it worked. Yura was 27 now. Her silver skin had lost its royal glow. Her hands were rough from work. Her back hurt from long shifts. She was beautiful in a different way now. A quieter way. A more real way. She worked as a translator on the HSS Mercy, a human medical ship. They traveled from system to system, bringing doctors and medicine to places that needed help. Yura translated for patients who did not speak human languages. She helped scared refugees understand what was happening. She held hands during scary procedures, thought it was good work. Hard work, work that mattered. The crew accepted her slowly. At first, they were suspicious. A former empress serving soup and changing bedsheets? It had to be a trick. But as months passed and Yura kept working, kept helping, kept showing up every day, they began to trust her. Lieutenant Park Soman, a young nurse, became her first real friend. "Why do you do this?" Soman asked one night. They were sitting in the ship's small garden, looking at stars through the glass ceiling. You could have escaped with treasure, hidden somewhere rich. Instead, you are cleaning floors and translating medical forms. Yura thought about the question. She had asked herself the same thing many times. Because the old me was empty, she said finally. I had everything, power, beauty, wealth, but I had nothing that mattered. No real friends, no real purpose, no real love. She looked at her rough hands. Once, she had never touched anything harder than silk. Now I have calluses. I have tired muscles. I have a small room that I share with 3 other workers. But I also have something I never had before. What? Peace. Yura smiled. I can sleep at night. I can look at myself in the mirror. I can meet the eyes of people I hurt and say I am trying to be better. Soman nodded slowly. You have changed. I am trying to. Every day. The anniversary came quietly. 8 years since a human diplomat walked into a throne room with hope in his hands and walked out with nothing but dignity. Yura knew the date. She had marked it in her calendar. Every year she marked it. Every year she remembered her shame. Commander Kang Do-yoon was on the Mercy now. He had requested the assignment last year. After decades of war and diplomacy and command, he wanted to do something simple. Something good. So he came to the medical ship and worked alongside everyone else. They had not spoken much. Do-yoon was kind but distant. He treated Yura the same as everyone else. No special anger. No special attention. Just another crew member. But Yura noticed things. She noticed how he stayed late to help patients who were scared. She noticed how he remembered everyone's name. She noticed how he never raised his voice, never demanded respect, never acted like he was better than anyone. He led by example, by simply being good. On the anniversary night, Yura found him in the observation deck. He was alone, looking at the stars. A cup of tea sat cooling in his hands. She almost turned away. But she had been running from this conversation for 5 years. It was time. May I join you? She asked. Do-yoon looked at her. Something flickered in his eyes. Memory, maybe. Then he nodded and gestured to the chair beside him. They sat in silence for a long time. The stars moved slowly past the window. Somewhere far away, worlds were healing from the war. Lives were being rebuilt. Children were being born who would never know the fear of Valari rule or Keth invasion. I think about that day often, Yura said finally. The day you came to my throne room. I know, Do-yoon said. I see you mark the date every year. She felt her face grow warm. You noticed? I noticed many things. He sipped his tea. I noticed when you started helping in the refugee hall. I noticed when you gave your extra rations to hungry children. I noticed when you stayed up all night with that dying Morath elder, holding his hand so he would not be alone. Yura had not known anyone was watching those moments. They were private, small, nothing special. That is how change happens, Do-hyun said. Not in grand gestures, in small choices. In the moments when no one is watching and you choose kindness anyway. I'm sorry, Yura said. The words came easier now than they had 5 years ago. I know I have said it before, but I need to say it again. What I did to you was unforgivable. Perhaps. Don set down his tea. But I forgave you anyway. A long time ago. How? Why? He turned to look at her fully. His eyes were still calm, still patient. But now she could see something else in them. Warmth. Because holding on to anger is like holding fire, he said. It burns you more than anyone else. Because I watched you struggle and fail and get up and try again. Because I believe people can change, and I have seen you prove it. Yura felt tears on her cheeks. She did not try to hide them. I want to understand, she said. All those years ago, when I humiliated you, when I broke your tablet and ordered you to kneel, why did you not fight back? Why did you not scream at me? Why did you just walk away? Do-hyun was quiet for a moment. Then he smiled. It was the first real smile he had ever given her. Because fighting would have made me like you, he said. Screaming would have made me weak. But walking away? That showed you something you had never seen before. Someone who did not need your approval. Someone who valued their own dignity more than your power. He reached out and poured a second cup of tea. He offered it to her. That is what we wanted, he said. All those years ago. Not submission. Not worship. Just to be treated like we mattered. Yura took the cup. It was warm in her hands. You do matter, she said. Humanity matters. More than any empire ever could. They sat together and drank tea and watched the stars. Two people who had once been enemies. Now just two crew members on a ship full of hope. Outside, the galaxy continued its slow dance. Wars would come and go. Empires would rise and fall. But kindness would remain. Patience would remain. The simple belief that every person deserved respect would remain. Yura thought about her ancestors. 10,000 years of conquest and cruelty. All of it dust now, forgotten. Do-hyun's people had been spacefaring for less than 2 decades. But their kindness would be remembered forever. What happens now? She asked. Now? Do-hyun finished his tea. Now we keep working. Keep helping. Keep trying to make the galaxy a little better than we found it. That sounds good. It is good. He stood up and stretched. The night shift starts soon. I should go check on the patients. Yura stood too. Can I help? You always can. They walked together toward the medical bay. Two people from different worlds, different histories, different stories, walking the same path, and somewhere in the stars, the universe smiled. Because that is what happens when hatred meets patience. When cruelty meets kindness, when empire meets humanity, humanity wins, not through war, through something better, through hope.